This one's going to get really personal, and it might hurt a little bit for me, and it might hurt a little bit for you. But we are going to talk about being a gay business owner in real estate and how it's affected me over the years. Because this industry has historically been a boys' club. You know, luckily women have come in and started taking over a lot of the sales processes. I like it a lot. Most of them are traditionally super honest, which makes it easy to do business with them. But the old boys club thing and being a gay business owner, it's not just about visibility. It's about building a brokerage where basically we have to think about protection, but we also have to think about how individuality kicks into that protection. And it's not just buzzwords. It has to be the standard, because when you're coming into an industry like this, it is important to stand out, but you also come into industries like this and you're a little bit different and everybody treats you a little bit different. So you have to be able to read a room very well, but you also have to be very direct as well. So we do have a little bit of an advantage that I'd like to talk about as gay business owners. We call it the authenticity advantage. Like, people know what they're going to get. When you're a part of a marginalized community, it can be really push you more towards integrity and honesty in a lot of ways. For me personally, I like to tell people that I have a deeper commitment to the housing rights. In the past, I've heard people that actually work in our industry make comments like, well, I don't feel really good about the gay thing, or I don't really know about that trans stuff, or whatever. Those are all California state laws about discrimination, and they are also federal laws about discrimination in housing. And we've talked about how Dr. Martin Luther King was one of the first people who started making equality in housing a process. I think it was 1968 was when the first law that protected people in housing came about. And it took Dr. Martin Luther King 7 years to get that bill through Congress and written. And we are the product of that. Gay people are the product of that too, because we got added underneath that, 10 to 15 years later. So it's not always been in play, what do they call it? A fair playing field, or a fair field to play on for us as gay business owners or gay agents. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that so people can understand some of the challenges that we face. So the reason that we have the Jaguar name is because we do serve a lot of military clients, and the JAG is the Judge Advocate General in the military. They're basically the protector. And then also, I really like the Jaguar because it's a symbol of power in the jungle. They are apex predators. Before humans, cats were, large cats were the apex predators on the planet. They're right up underneath us if you think about it. And we like to be able to feel like we're the guardians of our clients. So a lot of times LGBT people have felt overlooked by traditional corporate firms because maybe somebody doesn't really connect with them in the same way. When an LGBT person says, I want to live somewhere that feels safe, it might not come across to a straight person or to somebody that's not marginalized by their sexuality, that we might not even feel safe in your neighborhood, because of how many people don't like us there. So you have to think about those types of things. And that's why it's been so important for us to really build a safe haven for marginalized communities with our brokerage. We do not discriminate. We've hired people of the different religions. We've hired agents with different backgrounds. We have clients from different religions and different backgrounds. It's a diversification of values, and it's good for business owners to create something like this, with a world view, because that is definitely the direction that we should be going in. We should be looking at everybody's similarities rather than our differences, because differences can be challenged in conversation. There's always right versus wrong. You never treat somebody differently than you'd want to be treated. And I don't make the rules, but those are like the common rules for life in general. Treat people how you want to be treated. If you feel like you don't know something about somebody, rather than diving into the fear that you have of why they're different from you, I challenge you to always try to have a conversation with that person. It is very hard if the moral compass of that person is not similar to yours. Some people are just not good people. They want to use what's different about you against you because it makes them feel good and it makes them feel powerful. And usually those people are not only the most ignorant people in the room, they're the most scared people in the room. So it's something that I like to talk about. And then also for leadership and the business owner, how it shifts the mindset. So moving from just being a salesperson to a business owner, as particularly an LGBT business owner, is a shift from perspective for me. And it does give you like an operational strategy that you have to kind of move towards the benefit of the community. So I like to try to tell my clients, like, we cannot guide them towards something, towards an area in particular, because I think it's either called blockbusting or redlining. And it's basically when you're sending all your clients to one area and encourage them to build there or to buy there, so that you're creating like a false narrative or a false marketing opportunity. That happened a lot in 2005 and 2006, particularly in Texas and Houston. Huge lawsuit between real estate agents and the city because the real estate agents it was towards Indian buyers. They were taking all these Indian buyers into one community, and because they had done that, they were giving them money. These agents were giving these Indian buyers, pushbacks and kickbacks to buy in those neighborhoods and buy in those communities. And then what it ended up doing is causing a lot of foreclosures because the houses were not of that value 5 to 10 years later. So you have to be really careful when you're getting into business with people. And then the boutique philosophy that we have here at JAG Real Estate is, as a gay-owned boutique firm, we can pivot a little bit faster than some of the larger firms because we use more of an analytical and a localized approach into how we're going to do business. We're not looking at business from all over the country. We evaluate business from all over the country, but we realize that here in California, the way we do our business is going to set the standard. So what I decided to do when I opened this brokerage was work with agents that I thought had something that was interesting to the general public on the side for what they did, but also something professionally that they do for the general public that could benefit not only us, but also the client. So for instance, we have Hannah, who is an attorney that joined our team. She's currently looking at getting her insurance to have her license active again. So we'll have an attorney on the team that can advise clients what directions to go rather than having to refer that business out. We have Gizem here, who, as an architectural designer with a degree from a top-rated school in Turkey, can come in and basically look at the layout and the floor plan of the property that you're going to purchase, tell you what walls you can remove, tell you how to open it up, and draw the computer-animated designs for the clients. She's done that for several of our clients over the past 3 to 5 years. They've taken those plans and submitted them to the permitting office in the city of San Diego. I don't think they've been even sent some of those plans back. I think they just say, yep, these are good. They stamp them. And then, you get an architect to sign off on it or an structural engineer to sign off of it. And you just saved about $7,000 to $8,000 right there. So we do those things because we want our clients to have that type of backbone from us, that they've got the people they can call if they need help. We have Jackie, who's bilingual. She also sells down in the Baja area. So we've got cross-border opportunities here. We've got TJ, who works in finance. So we have a lot of different people on our team working round the clock, doing not only their job in real estate, but bringing value, like adding value. And that's what I wanted to do with my boutique and the boutique philosophy, was just to, rather than thinking about high volume national firms, let's look at the things that those high volume national firms are afraid of and figure out why they're afraid of them, and if we could add them in and make it some kind of business to us. And it's usually just oversight. You need somebody to watch. Like if we're going to have Gizem be our architectural designer and she's going to go in and tell you which walls we want to remove, before we finish any of that work, we might want to make sure we get, a structural engineer to double check it, pay them $1,500 just to make sure everything is right. Or, if they work directly with Gizem, they look at her plans. You don't have to go with some gigantic remodeling, reconstruction company just to get one wall removed, which is a lot of times what our condo buyers are trying to do. So we got you covered on that side. And that's why we like to talk about this. And then you also, with a boutique firm, especially with ours, LGBT-owned boutique firm, you're going to get a lot of mentorship and you're going to get a lot of strategic vision. A lot of times the mentorship and the strategic vision are only going to be as good as what you're willing to put in. So if you tell me you want to come join a firm and you want to be a part-time agent, if you're not in the office as much as you can be or following around one of the agents who's actually doing business, you're not going to learn the business because you're constantly swapping your thought process from one job to the next job. I worked 3 jobs. I worked 3 jobs before I became a broker. I was DJing on the weekends. I was showing houses on the weekends. I was trying to manage that was very hard. I was also doing working at Alaska Airlines in the morning from like 4:30 a.m. to like 10:30 or 11 a.m. And then I would go into the real estate office that I worked at in Mission Hills and sit as close to the broker as I could until I was almost going to pass out and fall asleep, and I would try to learn something. I was working 3 jobs when I got into this career, and now I'm the broker and I'm owning my own company. And is it great right now? No, real estate is not great right now. We're in 2026, in the beginning of the year. The winter market is very slow as traditionally. Some price points are high for single families. The ones that are 2 and 3 million are selling fast right now because those buyers are selling their $1 million properties and moving into the next one. And some things are sitting. Condos are killing us right now. They're just sitting on the market for months and months and months. No matter how many price reductions you do, because there are so many sittings, buyers are just looking at them like, well, I don't have to make a decision right now. Strategic vision and mentorship is going to be important for any agents that come and work with a smaller boutique firm, and also application. You're going to have to apply yourself. You can't come in and think you're going to learn to do this job and somebody else is going to do your paperwork for you. That is not the way this goes. You will see us continuing on, and we're going to do another one of these videos soon to show you all the ways in the paperwork that you can make your offer better even if your client has less money down. So that's the kind of things that are in the paperwork that you have to learn how to navigate with each property, because each property is going to have a different vision. You know, each property is going to have a different buyer. Each property is going to have a different vision on lending. You might have one with FHA or VA, and you're not going to know those terms. You don't need to know those terms. The only thing you need to do if you decide to work with a small boutique brokerage is evaluate who the people are and what educational values they have and how that's going to flow to you. So we push the educational values. All of our agents here do at least one certification course every 6 months. We just all got certified to be VA certified buyers agencies. And then several of our agents have taken different courses. Gazem is an international buyer specialist. I just got a class on take real estate and local government. So I've started working with Sonia, and she and I have joined the Pacific Beach Town Council so that we can kind of start learning a little bit more about what's happening in our community, how we can get Pacific Beach to have some of those nicer, planters and sidewalks and stuff like what the fellas, Benny and Rick and Nicole and all of those folks in Hillcrest have done. We're watching what you guys do because we see how active you are, and that's the kind of boutique firm that we want to have here. We want to be participating with our community. We want to be participating with our LGBT community. And we also want to let everybody know these are the areas where you can be. You can be safe here. You can feel appreciated here. And you can definitely feel safe and appreciated with our business. So that's all I wanted to share with you today.